This is the Jerry Callahan Show.
You know, it is hard to put into words what kind of role Donald Trump is on right now. It is an amazing role in the last, 2 days since the attempt on his life, since he avoided assassination by a quarter of an inch. He has, the photo alone was just a historic moment. We're looking at it again right now. We're going to see it a lot, as well we should. It was just an incredible moment in time we all lived through. He survived. Someone else didn't. One of his staunch supporters, Corey Compantori, lost his life. Since then, he has avoided prosecution. He won the documents case when Judge Aileen Cannon threw out Jack Smith's whole case. Hell, she threw him out. Said he was an unconstitutional appointment. He wins the case, and it was the best case against him. It was the best chance he had of losing, and that's out. That's over. Yesterday, day one of the Republican convention, he names J.D. Vance, his running mate, the best choice, a great choice. We'll get into that. J.D. Vance versus Kamala Harris in a debate is going to be my favorite moment of the summer. Can't wait. Yesterday, the convention was amazing. He made an appearance, and it was emotional, and he had the bandage on his ear, and the crowd went wild. There was a bunch of great speeches. It could not have gone better. Things could not be going better. And Joe Biden attempted to do damage control by sitting down with Lester Holt, one of his most devoted supporters, and surprise, it didn't go well for Crooked Joe. It was another disaster. We got some of the highlights of that. And let's not forget, MSNBC pulled their morning show off the air yesterday. No Morning Joe on the biggest news day of the year. They couldn't trust their own people to handle the situation, to handle the story of an assassination attempt on their mortal enemy. They couldn't handle it professionally. They knew Joe, Mika, Al Sharpton, Mike Barnicle, Donnie Deutsch. They knew one of them, or more than one of them, would say something really inappropriate, and they wouldn't take a chance. They just yanked him from the air. We have Joe's Morning Joe, Joe Scarborough's reaction today when he was back on the air. It is priceless. But we have to start with the still mind-boggling reality that a gunman, a sniper, a shooter, a deranged Trump hater was allowed to get to within 130 yards of the president with a rifle, with an AR-15 and a scope, a rangefinder. If I'm reading this correctly, and I think I am, he was spotted 28 minutes before Trump took the stage. A local sniper team was staged in the building on which Matthew Crooks went on the roof. He got on the roof. He took a shot. He took 5 or 6 shots. He killed a man. He wounded 2 others. He wounded the president, the former president, the next president. He came within a quarter of an inch of assassinating Donald Trump, and they knew he was there. That's right. They knew he was there. Hell, the crowd spotted him a minute and a half before the shots. And somehow, some way, Donald Trump was allowed to take the stage. They knew an assassin was on the roof where they shot at the president, and they allowed Donald Trump to take the stage. I still can't believe what I'm reading. I can't believe what I'm hearing. There is a few accounts of this that will just blow your mind. We'll start with this. CBS News reports, and they got lots of details. They dug in deep on this. Here it is from yesterday. Law enforcement sources said bystanders spotted the shooter with a rifle on a roof 400 feet from where Trump was speaking, and they reported his presence to authorities. The sheriff of Butler County said a local police officer was hoisted by another officer to look on the roof, the shooter pointed his rifle toward the officer, who let go and fell off the roof. The shooter then turned toward the rally and fired 6 to 8 rounds with an AR-style weapon. A Secret Service sniper soon shot and killed him. Trump was quickly whisked off the stage by armed agents. That was a minute and a half. They saw him. He pointed a gun at a local sniper team guy who was on the roof, attempting to get on the roof. We don't know how he got on the roof. One theory is he climbed without a ladder over an air conditioning unit onto the roof. And nobody thought to get Trump off the stage. I mean, I'm not a big conspiracy theory guy, as you know, but this is going to give life to all kinds of conspiracy theories. It was either incompetence or it was intentional. That's the choice. I'll go for now, at least, with incompetence. It is remarkable to me. The Secret Service has one job: protect the president, protect the protectee. In this case, the former president, the next president. And what you do when there's a man with a rifle on a roof 130 yards away is get the protectee out of there. They let him go on stage, and six minutes later, he takes the shot. And if Trump doesn't turn his head, Trump is a dead man. We all witness Donald Trump get his brains splattered all over the stage, and they allowed it to happen. And what happens the next day? Joe Biden says he has, or yesterday, 2 days later, Joe Biden says he has full confidence in his Secret Service director. Should I say, he has full confidence in him. Joe Biden thought his Secret Service director was a man, which is pretty amazing considering she's there because she's a woman. Kimberly Cheadles is there because she's a woman, and clearly she should be fired. She should quit today. She's digging in her heels. Mayorkas, she answers to Mayorkas. He says he has 100% confidence in the Secret Service and her, the Secret Service director. How is that possible? How do you have complete confidence in somebody who allowed Donald Trump to come within a quarter of an inch of being murdered on live TV? I think it'd be a lot different if that was a quarter of an inch to the left and he were dead today. But you read the accounts of this, and it's mind-boggling that they allowed it to happen. It's mind-boggling that the crowd, just Trump supporters in the crowd, saw the gunman and pointed it out to authorities. When you have Secret Service agents, local cops, HHS, Homeland Security people in the crowd with one job: make sure Trump doesn't die. And they missed it. They missed a 20-year-old man on the roof with a rifle. There's going to be hearings next week. Cheadle goes before the House on Monday. I'll be curious how that goes. But how does this not result in firings, suspensions? How does this not result in apologies? They didn't do their job. I know the agents on the ground, most of them, threw their bodies on Trump, protected Trump, got him in the SUV. But what about the advance team? What about the people who are supposed to be scouring the area, making sure there's no threat? As we said yesterday, I can't imagine you could show up at this within a mile of this place with a water pistol. This young, scrawny punk got within an easy shot with a rifle, climbed on a roof in the building, above the building in which the local security team was stationed. They had snipers in that building, and this punk got on the roof of that building and got a clear shot at the president. Let's watch the crowd point out to the cops that there's an assassin on the roof. Go ahead.
And you know, that's a little bit. He's going down!
got a gun on the roof. You could see him. The guy actually says it. Look, you can see him. Now, Crooks stood up, or at least got on his knees at one point where you could clearly see him with a gun. How was the reaction, the immediate reaction, the only reaction, not get Trump off the stage, just get him out of there, get him down, cover him up? It is frightening, the incompetence of these people. And again, it's like Afghanistan. Nobody pays a price. Nobody's fired. Nobody's admonished. The president doesn't have any, Joe Biden, he's not angry. Mayorkas, the impeached cabinet secretary, says, yeah, I got 100% faith in the Secret Service. How is that possible? And last night, we'll get to the convention. Trump shows up at the convention surrounded by Secret Service. Not a woman in the crew, not a woman, not a little person, not anyone. It appeared no one below 6 feet tall. Lots of big, strong men, which is a admission that they screwed up. This woman, who we talked about yesterday, who I tweeted about and got 59,000 likes, which is crazy. This woman, she cowered in fear. She couldn't holster a weapon. She didn't cover the president. She's there because she's a woman. We have a Secret Service which is charged with protecting the life of the president or the next president. And we're using it for DEI purposes. Hell, the director is a DEI hire. I know we covered that yesterday. We'll get to it. We got so much more to get to, but I need answers. We all need answers. I know people say, just wait. Let's not jump to conclusions. Well, I can jump to this conclusion that a gunman, a man with a rifle should not be on the roof 130 yards. Even this young punk who wasn't a military veteran, who was a reject from the gun club at his school, this guy can hit his target from 130 yards. That's not asking a lot. You know what it does? It punctures your perception, your image of the Secret Service. I picture them as true professionals that would never allow something like this to happen. Maybe it's my mistake. We've lost faith in all our institutions over the last few years. It's a remarkable thing. FBI, CIA, DOJ, Secret Service, all these places that have been infiltrated with DEI, who are being run by DEI hires, who put 5'2" chubby women on a detail, the most important detail. As I asked yesterday, who's guarding Jimmy Carter? This woman should be guarding Jimmy Carter. Who's guarding George Bush? I've seen George Bush. I saw him on the golf course. He's got Secret Service agents around him. There was 4 of them. I saw him there a couple of weeks ago. On the course, Secret Service around him. That's what she should be doing. Driving around in a golf cart, chasing George Bush. She should be nowhere near Donald Trump or RFK Jr., who now has protection. What do you know? Trump's protection has been enhanced, and now RFK Jr. finally has protection. Why? Because of this, because we knew this was possible. It's stunning to think that person got that close to this man, and nobody, so far, nobody has paid a price. Nobody has, hell, they don't even apologize. It's just mind-boggling. Let me get to this this account on we got more details. There's a few of the local reporters working on this. CBS covering it quite well. Check this out. This is a summary from Kyle Becker. Thomas Crooks, the 20-year-old gunman who attempted to assassinate Donald Trump, was spotted on the roof 26 minutes. So we have differing counts. Some say 28, some say 26. Spotted on the roof 26 minutes before the shooting. The FBI confirmed that Crooks was seen by law enforcement on the roof with a clear sightline to the former president. Despite being alerted to his presence, authorities failed to confront him, allowing him to remain hidden for nearly a half an hour before he opened fire on the crowd. They lost him. They saw him. They alerted the cops. The cops knew. The Secret Service knew. and they lost him. He was laying down on a roof. The shocking new allegation have raised questions about how Crooks was able to evade detection and carry out the attack. A sniper even took a picture of the suspect with a rangefinder and radioed to the command post before the assassination attempt. You got that? A local cop took a picture of him with his gun and radioed it in a long time before Donald Trump took the stage. Crooks was on the radar of the Secret Service for nearly half an hour before the shooting attempt. But he kept disappearing, according to CBS, disappearing before he climbed on the roof. How do you even get an adult male this close carrying a rifle? Some reports said he had a ladder. I don't think that's true because that'd be tough. But he had a rifle. Again, how do you get a rifle within miles of Donald Trump? Crooks disappeared again and then came back a third time with a backpack, CBS reported. The snipers called in with information that he had a backpack and said he was walking toward the back of the building. The New York Post reports local police were inside the building when Crooks climbed on top of it. The building was carved out of the Secret Service security perimeter and delegated to local police despite being known as a high priority vulnerability. Before the shooting, a police officer confronted Crooks. The officer scrambled back down the ladder when Crooks pointed his rifle at him, allowing the shooter to fire at least 5 rounds. No one warned Trump. This is truly mind-boggling. This is scary. I'm sure you, Ironhead, as our resident conspiracy theorist, think it's an inside job, and you will not be alone in this. Lots of people are thinking that's the only way this could happen. I'm going to go with incompetence for now. I'm going to go with incompetence. But how do we even allow this kind of incompetence? How does this everyone everyone in charge, how are they not fired today? If the bullet were a quarter of an inch to the left, they'd be fired today. But he missed. He took out his ear. He killed a Trump supporter. So we just move on. We just say, boy, what a break. We got lucky. It's not going to happen again. Are we sure it's not going to happen again? There's a lot of people really, really disappointed that Matthew Crooks failed in his attempt to take out. There were 3 snipers inside the building, 3, when Crooks was climbing on top of it. I mean, if this were a movie, you wouldn't believe it. You'd say that's not possible. That can't be real, but it is. And Crooks was killed seconds later by a Secret Service sniper, did his job. Here's the other question that has to be answered Monday when this DEI hire, Kimberly Cheadles, goes before Congress. Did the sniper, the Secret Service sniper, have him in his sights? Did he ask, should I take him out? And was he ordered to wait until shots were fired? That is a good question. That's the same question we had at Abbey Gate in Afghanistan when a sniper had the suicide bomber in his sights and was told to stand down. Was the Secret Service agent in this instant told to stand down? And if he was, what do you say to Corey Compantori's family? Oh, yeah, we wanted to make sure he was really going to shoot. You saw a man with a gun, with a rangefinder on the roof, and you waited to take the shot? And if you did, whose idea was that? Whose order was that? And why is that person still employed? It is just incredible what we're living through right now. And incredible how close we were to not having a Republican convention this week, to not having this event where they name J.D. Vance, nominate Donald Trump. The whole thing would have been scrapped, canceled. And we'd be looking at a funeral today for Donald Trump. And we'd be scrambling to figure out who would be the nominee. And we'd be watching Morning Joe and CNN and Van Jones and these people trying to hide their glee. Here's why Morning Joe was canceled. Because they didn't trust them to hide their disappointment. Let's be honest. Everybody knows these people would have been thrilled if Matthew Crooks succeeded. They would have been thrilled. That's undeniable. I know it's uncomfortable, and not everyone wants to say it, but these people want him dead. Give me one reason other than that why they would try to strip Secret Service protection from Donald Trump. That was Benny Thompson, prominent Democrat, and a bunch of other Democrats supported his idea to strip Trump of Secret Service protection. Why would you do that? Especially if he were to go to prison. They wanted to make sure he would end up in general population. They didn't want any extra measures taken to protect Trump. These are vile, vicious, soulless, awful people, including these two scumbags on the screen, Mika and Joe. We'll get to them reacting today when they were allowed back on their show. That's all you need to know. These two people and all their guests were not allowed on the air yesterday because NBC, Comcast didn't trust them to do their job professionally. They didn't trust them to do their job with dignity. They knew these rabid dogs were going to either sound really disappointed or encourage, maybe the way they've done for months, encourage someone else to take a shot at Hitler. Nobody's called him Hitler more than these people. And hey, who wouldn't try to kill Hitler? We'll say it again. You call someone Hitler enough. You call someone a threat to this country, a threat to democracy enough, and somebody's going to say he must be stopped. We've seen it. If you're on social media, you see so many people disappointed that Crooks didn't succeed. It's killing them. And they either suppress, they either show a little discipline or they don't. But you know what they're thinking. You know how they're feeling. And NBC knew these two scoundrels couldn't do their jobs yesterday. What a statement about them. We'll get to that. And J.D. Vance, my guy, J.D. Vance. I've been rooting for J.D. Vance for months, and he is the guy. We'll tell you all about J.D. Vance. We'll tell you how they're going to attack him. We'll tell you all the people who hate him, which to me is the best endorsement of all. He's going to be great. I love this pick. We'll get to that and so much more. But first,
excuse me.
All right, before we get to JD, we got to do this because it was so much fun. Yesterday, I do this every morning. I hate watch MSNBC. I go back and forth. I watch all the morning shows. I watch our guy Rob Finnerty in the morning on Newsmax and Fox and CNN and NBC, MSNBC. They don't even hide it anymore. Here's all you need to know. They pulled Mika and Joe off the air yesterday, and they let Joy Reid do her show. She didn't disappoint, by the way. She's blaming Trump, for all the rhetoric, and she's a total lunatic. But she was allowed to go on the air. Rachel Maddow, Jen Psaki were allowed to go on the air, but not Mika and Joe. They can't be trusted. And they lied and said, they just wanted to make it about breaking news, have their breaking news team do the show instead of these two Trump-hated lunatics. But they were back this morning. I'm not sure if they've said anything about, how disappointed they were about what happened Saturday afternoon. But let's listen as Joe and Mika react to their little their punishment. You guys are too crazy to put on the air 2 days after, not just 2 days after an assassination attempt, but on the biggest news day of the year. We can't trust you to do your job. This was this morning, a day after they were slapped down.
I wanted to briefly talk to our friends and viewers that watch us every day and talk about what happened yesterday. We were told in no uncertain terms on Sunday evening that there was going to be one news feed across all NBC News channels yesterday. The Today Show would be Lester Holt, other people that you worked with on Sunday, and that was going to be one news feed across all NBC News channels, that we were going to stay as a network in breaking news mode throughout all day yesterday. That did not happen. We don't know why that didn't happen, or team was not given a good answer as to why that didn't happen, but it didn't happen. We were also told it was going to happen throughout the day. And I guess after there was such a strong blowback about yesterday morning, I guess they changed their plans. And so those plans changed as well. So it didn't. We've talked about it off the air. We'll talk about it on the air because we talk about everything on the air. We were very surprised. We were very disappointed. And if we had known that there wasn't going to be the one news feed from NBC News across all NBC News channels, Willie, we obviously would have been in yesterday morning.
Yeah, I was here up early on Sunday morning with NBC's coverage. Savannah and I led the coverage on Sunday in the immediate aftermath, talking to eyewitnesses, talking to officials about what happened. Obviously suited up and ready to go for yesterday morning on a big morning, and we're told that something else was going to be broadcast. So we are here today going through a lot, catching up a little bit, but we want to be here for our audience, and we know you trust us, and we have
they don't. They don't trust you liars. They don't trust your own bosses. Here's what's incredible about this. They could have said, Joe and Mika sat them down, said, you got to handle this delicately. You can't show the world how disappointed you are. We know you want Trump dead. He's not dead. He's fine. Someone else is dead. It's kind of a big deal, but we know that you didn't want it to go this way. You had other ideas, but can you just try to remain composed? Can you just not go off the rails? Can we just not have, with Donnie Doyshawn or some of the more crazy MSNBC guests, maybe not have Michael Beschloss, who's lost his mind on, and they couldn't do it. They couldn't trust him to do the job. This is a real statement, and I think you have trouble recovering from this when you're yanked off your show, the morning show, the big show, the cornerstone show of this network on the biggest news day of all. That tells you all you need to know. Here's what else. Let's get to this one. MSNBC is covering the Republican convention, of course. I'm sure they're not using their mic flags. I'm sure they don't have a big banner for their set, but they're covering it. And this was a really big moment. It was just when the J.D. Vance news was breaking. It was just when Trump was expected to arrive, and Don Jr. was with the Florida delegation. He was with Eric Trump, who made the announcement that they went to Florida, and they announced their delegates for Trump, and it put him over the top. It officially made him the nominee. And Don Jr. was there, and an MSNBC, I don't even know this guy's name. Here he is on the left. MSNBC reporter has a moment to interview Donald Trump Jr. 2 days after his father was almost assassinated, moments before his father is nominated. And this little weasel thinks this is the time to ask about kids with cages. By the way, just another hoax. We know that. It's just like the Charlottesville hoax or the bloodbath hoax or the dictator hoax or the bleach hoax. The cages, as Trump points out, were built by the Biden administration, and they separate children from their parents, as well they should. When you commit a crime, you don't get to take your kid with you to detention or to prison, as we've said many times. You drive drunk or rob a bank, you don't get to stay with your children. So, of course, they separate kids. Obama did it. Trump did it. Biden's doing it, of course. But they think it is an effective tool against Trump. And you expect to hear it from time to time, but they choose this moment. And Don Jr. could not have handled it better. Watch this.
What is that change going to look like, Don? What practically, your father as president, I think you would even say, was a divisive figure. What's it going to look like in the second term?
I don't think he was a divisive figure at all. I think the media created divisiveness around him. They lied about Russia collusion. They said he was a traitor. They went after him in every which way as possible. If the media actually starts being an honest broker, talking about the things that he did, the prosperity he brought, the peace deals that he signed around the world, rather than the disaster that we're living right now, I think you do everyone in the country a big favor.
I know immigration's important to him. I covered the family separation crisis closely. Will we continue to see policies like separating 5,000 children deliberately from their parents?
You mean the Obama administration?
You know they didn't do that, sir.
Okay, sure.
Will there be a second family separation policy?
Hey, it's MSDNC, so I expect nothing less from you clowns. Even today, even 48 hours later, you couldn't wait. You couldn't wait with your lies and with your nonsense. So just get out of here.
Just get out of here. Look at that guy. Look at his face. That's how it's done right there. Just get out of here. And Don Jr. was happy because he was the biggest proponent of JD Vance. He got his guy, and it was a great night. John Jr. was everywhere. He's good. He's good in these interviews. That's how you handle MSDNC. Just get out of here. Look at that weasel. The separation of children at the border. God, these people are just such liars and frauds and just fools. Speaking of fools, before we get to JD, we got to do Biden, because here's one more reason Trump's on an incredible roll, is because it is impossible for Biden to react. He can't do it. You can't say, here's what Trump said. Here's what Trump did. What do you think, Mr. President? He can't handle it. All he does is stumble and bumble and lie and fall back on hoaxes. Every interview he does, he lies. He says Charlottesville. He says, bloodbath. He says dictator on day one. Just quickly review. They lied about Charlottesville. There's video. Trump didn't say fine people, didn't call Nazis fine people. We know that. Trump said bloodbath would be the auto industry if Biden allows China to build EVs in Mexico and send them into this country. The auto industry would be a bloodbath. He joked about being a dictator on day one because he's going to close the border and open up the energy industry. That's it. And he laughed. But they don't care. It's all they got, lies and hoaxes. So they send Biden out there, 2 days after the assassination attempt, during the Republican convention. This is what you do. You call one of your friendly media surrogates, Lester Holt. You go on NBC, and that's NBC, right? Yeah, NBC. And you attempt to clean up the mess. But their guy, as we know, is incapable. And the worst part for Democrats is the whole movement to replace him is over. No one is talking about replacing him. Barack Obama failed. His coup failed. He's the candidate. And I think Democrats are resigned. Someone has to be thrown to the wolves. It might as well be this decrepit old man. So he sits down with Lester Holt for 15 minutes, and it was just one gaffe, one lie after another. Is this him talking about, what do we got? We got a couple of cuts here.
This is him just getting mad at Lester for asking questions.
Yeah, and by the way, have you noticed the media, some of them, not Scarborough, but, Jake Tapper, Lester Holt, are trying to salvage a little dignity and do their job and ask real questions. Biden is shocked by this. He's so used to them sucking his toes, kissing his ass, that when they do their job, he gets flustered like this. Watch.
In your last TV interview, you were asked if you had watched the debate, and your answer was, I don't think so, no. Have you since seen it?
I've seen pieces of it. I've not watched the whole debate.
And the reason I ask, because I guess the question is, are you all on the same page? Are you seeing what they saw, which was moments of, frankly, that you appeared to be confused?
Lester, look, why don't you guys ever talk about the 28 lies he told? Where are you on this? Why didn't the press ever talk about that? 28 times it's confirmed he lied in that debate. I had a bad night. I wasn't feeling well at all. And I had been, without it making it, I screwed up. But
I just asked the question because the idea that you may or may not have seen what some of these other folks have seen, you're not on the same.
I'd have to see I was there. I'd have to see it. I was there. And by the way, seriously, you won't answer the question, but why didn't the press talk about all the lies he told?
Well,
I don't know anything about that.
We have reported many of the issues that came up during that debate.
No.
We'll provide you with them.
No, NBC never talks about the lies Trump told. By the way, we showed you this the next day. CNN listed the lies Biden told, and they were amazing lies. It was one lie after another. You can't keep up with Joe Biden's lies. This is when he said, the border was closed, that he shut down the border, that the union UAW endorsed him. I mean, it was just one ridiculous lie after another. And even CNN chronicled them. Lester asks, this answer is amazing too, because as we know, Joe Biden, days before the assassination, like 3 days, called Trump a threat to democracy. Dr. Jill called Trump evil. They called him Hitler in the days leading up to the assassination attempt. And then Biden went in the Oval Office and said, we have to tamp down the rhetoric, the temperature. He didn't say, I have to. He didn't take any responsibility. He should. I mean, that would be good politically, but he can't because he's just a craven egomaniac. But Lester Holt, and I'll say this, Biden tweeted they have to put a bullseye on Trump. And I don't care about that. That's not the same as saying he's Hitler. That's just an expression. Is what Biden should have said. It's just an expression. You put a bullseye on him. That means you go after him. Instead, his answer is so incoherent. Lester asked about the bullseye, and Biden starts talking about crosshairs. He never said crosshairs. Somehow we can't get it out of his decaying brain. Watch this.
You called your opponent an existential threat on a call a week ago. You said it's time to put Trump in the bullseye. There's some dispute about the context, but I think you appreciate.
I didn't say crosshairs. I was talking about focus on. Look, the truth of the matter was, what I guess I was talking about at the time was there's very little focus on Trump's agenda.
Yeah, the term is bullseye.
It was a mistake to use the word. I didn't say crosshairs. I meant bullseye. I meant focus on him. Focus on what he's doing.
I meant exactly what I said.
I didn't say crosshairs. I said bullseye. That's what you said. Nobody said you said crosshairs. He's just so, I mean, this is their problem. They can't put their guy out to refute anything. They can't put their guy out to steal the spotlight from Trump. They're going to have to hide him. They have no choice. All he does is make matters worse. And in the interview, there's a whole bunch of gaffes, but this is when he said, asked about his Secret Service director, and he says he has faith in him. He doesn't even know that his Secret Service director is a DEI hire who has committed to making the Secret Service 30% female, because we know that's really important when your job is to stop people from killing the president or the ex-president or the next president. Let's make sure we have lots of women. We don't care how tall they are, strong they are, brave they are. We just want women. Again, you want to do that in whatever, health and human services. You want to do it in the bureaucracy. That's one thing. You don't say we're going to have a 5'2" woman who couldn't run 50 yards protect the president. You'd say, the hell with DEI. We need the biggest, strongest badasses to do this job. It almost cost Trump his life, the incompetence in this agency. And Biden has full faith in Kimberly Cheadles, who is a clown who should be grilled Monday and fired Monday. But we'll see. We'll I don't have a lot of faith. Hell, you can't even get rid of Mayorkas. How are you going to get rid of his girl here? It's a disgrace. What do we got here?
This is one of his gaffes about 2020.
Oh, good. Yeah, this is another attempt to clean things up. Joe Biden talking about when Obama picked him as VP, and he's just off by a little bit, only 12 years, I think. Go ahead.
But I didn't plan on running because when in 2020, when Barack asked me to be vice president, I joined him, which is a great honor. And but after that, I became a professor at the University of Pennsylvania.
Why does no one ever call him out immediately?
First of all, he says Barack picked him in 2020, and after that, he became a professor. He is so far gone. Barack picked him. Barack Obama was 08 to 16, correct? So he picked him in. Do I have that timeline right? Yeah. Trump was 16. He picked him 12 years before that. And he was never a professor at Pennsylvania. That is completely made up. They paid him money because he had a Penn Center, which brought in millions of foreign money. He was never a professor. He just makes that up. And he sounds so weak and so old. Good good luck for the next 4 months. We'll get to her. We got to get to this pick. As you know, I'm a big JD Vance guy. I've been telling you, he's the man for months and months and months. I was a little nervous down the stretch. A lot of rumors about Doug Burgum and Ben Carson and Rubio. Trump got this right, and I will explain right after this.
Excuse me.
I'll put it simply. Let me put this simply. J.D. Vance is everything every other politician pretends to be, wants to be. That's why Mitt Romney hates him, because Mitt Romney is a snake and a liar and a coward. Mitt Romney never served a day in the military. His 5 sons never spent a day in the military. But Mitt Romney would love to send your sons and your daughters to fight and die for anything. Ukraine, whatever, China, Taiwan, you name it. Mitt Romney will always vote to send money, send weapons, send soldiers, send Americans overseas to fight and die in pointless foreign wars. Romney hates J.D. Vance because Romney has had everything handed to him his whole life. Child of privilege who's never worked for anything, never earned anything on his own. J.D. Vance is the opposite. J.D. Vance was not just working class. Every politician said they're working class. He was dirt poor, and we all know it because there was a best-selling book, Hillbilly Elegy, and a movie. You want to learn about J.D. Vance? Rent the movie tonight. Watch it. Grab the book. Read it. He grew up with nothing. By the time he was like 8 years old, he'd had 3 different last names. His father was nowhere to be found. His mother was a drug addict. His family was dirt poor in Appalachia in Middletown, Ohio. Somehow he worked his way out of there, went to Ohio State, graduated from Ohio State, went to Yale Law School. Oh, I'm sorry. I got the timeline wrong. Graduated from high school and joined the Marines after 9/11 and went to Iraq. He's a Marine. I don't think anyone else on the 2 tickets, Trump, Biden, Kamala, I don't think any of them served a day in the Marine Corps. J.D. Vance did. And then he didn't do it after college as an officer to get, a credential, for his political future. He did it because of 9/11. Then he went to Ohio State. Then he went to Yale. Then he wrote a bestseller. Then he started a business. Then he made money. Then he came back to Middletown, Pennsylvania. It's an amazing American success story, and it's going to work. He's going to go all over Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, and people are going to listen. He's smart as hell. Even his enemies admit he's smart as hell. He's a good debater. He's great in interviews. He will go into the belly of the beast. He will go on CNN. He'll go on with Margaret Brennan or Jonathan Karl or Steffi Stephanopoulos, and he will kick ass. The only, and of course, the most important thing, he's not 80. I was begging Trump not to pick Carson or Burgum because I don't want another senior citizen. I'm sorry. We need to think of the future. We need to think of the next generation. He's 39. He turns 40 on August 2nd. He has a wife who's Hindu, whose parents are Indian immigrants. He has 3 kids, including a son named Vivek. He and Vivek were friends at Yale, which is interesting. But I'm already too excited about the debate with Kamala. I mean, he has a command of the issues that affect the heartland. You can't play, the white privilege card with this guy. You can do it. Kamala grew up rich. Joe Biden grew up upper middle class. Trump, obviously, fabulously wealthy. Most of the people in the Senate and the House, they're children of privilege. J.D. Vance is the opposite. He knows about the problems in the heartland. His mother was a drug addict. He can speak to the fentanyl crisis. He does. Talks about the border and how it's killed hundreds of thousands of Americans, and Joe Biden doesn't give a shit about those people. J.D. Vance does. Now, we know this is important. He'll be the first bearded person in the office since 1892. That's important. We know he's tall. He's pretty good looking. Trump likes that. I love the fact that he's a white guy who came from nothing. The hell with DEI. The hell with picking people based on immutable characteristics. Pick them on their record, on their biography. And that's what he did here. I think they're going to have a tough time coming after J.D. Vance. They can't attack his story. All they got is things he said about Trump 8 years ago. He wasn't a Trump guy. He wasn't a Trumper. He was a never Trumper. He called himself a never Trumper. He said he didn't like Trump in 2015, and he said as much. Here's where that fails. Did he call Trump a rapist? Did he call Trump a racist? Because Kamala called Joe Biden a racist and a rapist, and he picked her anyway. That's how you confront that in the debate, in rallies. Yes. And I'll give you another thought on this. I like people who convert. Last night's convention included a Hispanic woman and legal immigrant who took to the stage and said in 2020 she voted for Joe Biden, and they showed Trump and he was clapping. She said this because she opened her eyes. She watched what happened to this country the last 4 years. She compared it to what happened during Trump, and she said, I made a mistake. It included union head Sean O'Brien from Medford, Mass., the first Teamsters president ever to address the RNC. And the reason J.D. Vance came around is because he opened his eyes. Now, if you're a lifelong Republican and dyed-in-the-wool Republican and you support Trump, it's like, yeah, whatever. But if you're used to hate him, now you love him, that means you actually looked at his record. You looked at what he did for this country. I say this all the time, or I say it often. The best conservative pundits, the best conservative polemicists are the guys who used to be liberal, like Greg Gutfeld and Dave Rubin and Tammy Bruce. These are people who thought about it and then made the change and said, these Democrat policies, these liberal policies are no good. I like those people. They put some thought into it. They weren't born and raised Republican like Mitt Romney's kids. They're not mindlessly following the crowd. They're thinking, and they're saying, they're making a critical decision that his policies are better than his policies. His policies are better for this country than the other guy. That's, to me, a strength, not a weakness. You can rip him for what he said about Trump 8 years ago, but listen to what he said over the last 5-6 years. He woke up. He's smart. He's fearless. He's willing to admit he was wrong 8 years ago, and he has. And give Trump credit. He picked the guy who compared him to Hitler 8 years ago. He doesn't do that anymore. Biden does that now. You know, Joe Scarborough does that now. J.D. Vance knows what's best for this country, and he articulated it better than anyone. I think it is a great choice and a important choice. This is the most important vice presidential pick I can remember, because Trump's a one-termer. Trump's 78. J.D. Vance is 39. This is your leading candidate for president in 4 years. And you know who your leading candidate for president in 4 years for the Democrats is? Kamala Harris. You couldn't pick someone more diametrically opposed to the bubblehead who's in the office now. Do we have Kamala? This is who J.D. Vance is going to be debating in a few weeks. This is going to be glorious. I mean, again, she'll have the expectations will be so low, the bar will be so low, she'll probably survive, but he's going to eat her alive. This is who J.D. Vance is going up against. Go ahead.
I think it's very important, as you have heard from so many incredible leaders, for us at every moment in time, and certainly this one, to see the moment in time in which we exist and are present, and to be able to contextualize it, to understand where we exist in the history and in the moment as it relates not only to the past, but the future.
There's J.D. Vance's opponent. It couldn't be more, the contrast couldn't be greater. This is a DEI hire. Joe Biden said it, He had to have a black woman. This is who he picked. On the contrary, Donald Trump went with merit, went with a guy with brains, with balls, a guy who's got an incredible life story. And it was not chosen for his immutable characteristics, were not chosen based on race or sexuality. This is going to be great. And J.D. Vance will win. He'll destroy her. I hope it's over the top. But just looking at the two on stage, you're going to say, who is better equipped to be president? And because that's what it is. Joe Biden's not going to last 4 years, not going to last a year. There's your president. Donald Trump, he'll probably last 4 years, but then he's done. And the next guy will be hopefully J.D. Vance. I'm looking forward to this so much. He's already getting ripped to shreds by here's to me the best thing. All the people who hate him. It explains a lot. Mitt Romney, Van Jones, Joy Reid, Jen Psaki, they hate this choice, which means it's the right choice. All right, can we finish with the appearance? This was amazing last night. It was an incredible night at the convention. If you weren't watching, the speakers were there were all kinds of different speakers. Like I said, you had senators, Tim Scott, you had Congress people, Marjorie Taylor Greene, but you also had the woman, the immigrant who said she voted for Biden and made a mistake. You had the union leader, Sean O'Brien, who was amazing, the first Teamster president ever to address the RNC. But Trump's appearance when he showed up and they played Lee Greenwood singing live, and you weren't sure if Trump was going to show up. We didn't know what shape he was in. He handled it perfectly. He didn't speak. He didn't appear over the top. He looked a little somber and serious, and he takes the floor, waves to the crowd, sits with Byron Donalds and Tucker Carlson, which was great. Fox was forced to cover Trump sitting with Tucker Carlson. But let's just play a little bit of his entrance because it was great.
United States, Donald J. Trump.
Tomorrow, all the things were gone. I'd worked for all my life, and I had to start again. Just my children and my wife. Thank my lucky stars to be living here today. Because the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. Don't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'm glad we stand
up next to you. That song works, man. It really works.
Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. Sing it. God bless the USA.
I wonder if he gets nervous now in front of people.
I don't know, but he was well protected, as you can see, surrounded by big, strong men. Little Melissa McCarthy was nowhere to be found on this night. And he handled it right. That's, didn't say anything, just waved to the crowd and clapped. And you could see the ear thing, his ears, I don't even know if it's still there, but it was a good night. 3 more nights of this, lots of speakers. All I'm asking for is is to pay tribute to Corey Compantori. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but pay tribute to him, his family, maybe his wife, maybe his daughter shows up. They should have a video tribute to this hero who lost his life in the assassination attempt. And Trump should mention him too. And I'm sure he will. He has to. Thursday night's going to be wild. Trump is going to be on fire. Can't wait. But that will do it for today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching and for chatting. Thank you, Ironhead. I'm Jerry Callahan. This is The Callahan Show, and we'll do it again tomorrow.